My parents laughed when I walked into the courtroom. Then the judge said one sentence that changed everything. The courtroom smelled like old wood, dust, and cold air that had been sitting there for years. The benches were hard, the lights too bright, and every sound felt louder than it should have been. My shoes echoed when I stepped inside, even though I tried to walk quietly. I was late. Every eye turned toward me for a second. My mom noticed first. She rolled her eyes like she had been waiting for me to mess up again. My dad followed, letting out a slow breath and shaking his head. He didn't even look angry, just tired. Like I was a burden he had already given up on. They sat together in the front row, close to the lawyers, dressed well, confident. They belonged here. I didn't. At least, that's what they thought. I adjusted my simple suit. It wasn't expensive, but it was clean. My hands felt cold, even though the room was warm. I could feel my heart beating in my chest, slow but heavy. Then I saw her. Sarah stood near the front, a few steps away from my parents. She held her bag tight against her side, like she was afraid someone might take it from her. Her hair was shorter now, pulled back without care. There were faint lines under her eyes that hadn't been there before. She looked up and froze. For a moment, the noise around us disappeared. No coughing. No whispers. Just us. Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to speak but couldn't. I saw fear there. And surprise. Maybe even regret. 7 years. That's how long it had been since I left this town. Since I stood in the rain outside her farmhouse, listening as she told me to go. She said I was holding her back. She said my dreams were useless here. She said she didn't need me anymore. I believed every word. Outside the courtroom windows, rain tapped against the glass, steady and cold. The sky was grey, matching the weight in my chest. Inside, the air felt thick, like everyone was holding their breath. Our eyes met again. I wanted to say her name. I didn't. She looked away first, her jaw tightening. I took my seat in the back, alone. My parents didn't turn around. They didn't need to. In their minds, they already knew how this story ended. They were wrong. The judge called for a short break. Chairs scraped the floor as people stood up, their voices low and careful. I stayed seated for a moment, staring at my hands, until I felt her presence nearby. I didn't need to look up to know it was Sarah. "You shouldn't be here," she said quietly. Her voice was softer than I remembered, but it still carried the same weight. I stood and turned to face her. We were only a few steps apart, close enough that I could see the small scar near her eyebrow. I had forgotten about that scar. Or maybe I had tried to. "I know," I said. "But I had to come." She crossed her arms, like she was protecting herself. Her eyes moved around the hallway, making sure no one was listening. "This isn't your problem anymore," she said. I almost laughed at that. Almost. "You made it my problem when you told me to leave," I said, keeping my voice low. Her face changed. The color drained from her cheeks. She looked like someone had reached into her chest and squeezed her heart. "You disappeared," she said. "You didn't call. You didn't write." I swallowed hard. The memory came back fast. My suitcase by the door. My mother yelling that I was wasting my life. My father telling me not to come back until I was someone worth respecting. "You told me not to," I said. "You said I ruined everything." Her fingers curled tightly around the strap of her bag. "I was angry," she whispered. "So was I replied. A silence stretched between us, heavy and uncomfortable. I could hear my own breathing. I could smell her perfume, faint, familiar, and painful. A flashback hit me without warning. Sarah crying in the kitchen. My parents standing behind me, disappointed and cold. Her voice breaking as she said, "Just go." The courtroom doors opened again. The break was over. We walked back inside, sitting on opposite sides. I noticed something then. Sarah kept touching the small necklace around her neck, rubbing it between her fingers like it was a lifeline. She had never done that before. Her leg bounced as she sat, fast and restless. She wouldn't look at me. Something wasn't right. Whatever this case was really about, I could feel it pressing closer, like a truth trying to come up for air. The judge cleared his throat, and the room fell silent again. Papers were shuffled. A pen tapped once against the desk. My name was called. "Sir, please step forward." I stood up slowly. My legs felt steady, but my chest was tight. I could feel my parents behind me now. I didn't turn around, but I knew they were watching. For the first time since I walked in, they were paying attention. I took my place in front of the judge. He adjusted his glasses and looked at the file. "This case involves a minor," he said. "A boy, 6 years old." The words hit me harder than any shout ever could. 6. I felt the air leave my lungs. I looked towards Sarah without thinking. Her shoulders were shaking. Tears ran down her face, and she didn't try to stop them anymore. "Here's yours," she whispered. The sound of it was small, but it filled the whole room. My parents gasped. My mother stood up halfway, then slowly sat back down, her face pale. My father's mouth opened, but no words came out. The judge looked surprised. He glanced at me again. "The father," he said carefully, "is also listed here as legal counsel. You are a licensed lawyer, correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," I said. My voice didn't shake. A quiet murmur moved through the courtroom. The judge nodded, impressed now, alert. I remembered the nights I stuttered alone, the years I spent proving myself, the silence from my family, the anger that pushed me forward when nothing else did. Sarah covered her face with her hands. "I didn't know how to tell you," she said through tears. "You had already gone. Your parents hated me. I was scared." I looked at her for a long moment. All the pain, the confusion, the lost years, they were there. But so was something else. Truth. "I didn't disappear," I said gently. "I was trying to survive." The judge spoke again, firm and clear. "This changes everything." My parents couldn't meet my eyes now. The same people who rolled their eyes when I walked and sat frozen, small, and silent. I wasn't angry anymore. I turned to Sarah. "You didn't ruin my life," I said. "You gave me a reason to build one." The judge nodded, already writing notes. When I walked out of the courtroom, the rain had stopped. My parents stayed behind. And for the first time, I didn't look back.